He's back. 23-year-old Ryan Ciminelli. Last week, this unknown burst onto the PBA scene in a big way, making it all the way to the title match of the Cheetah Championship, where it took a legend to beat him. Now, just a week later, Ciminelli is once again in the hunt for his first career title, as he faces Michael Haugen Jr. in the semis of the Viper Championship. On the other side of the bracket, two-time titleist and former PBA Rookie of the Year Rhino Page squares off against veteran Steve Jarris. From Thunderbolt Lanes in Detroit, the World Series of Bowling rolls on with the Viper Championship now on ESPN. And we welcome you to Detroit, the third PBA title of the season up for grabs, and fighting for it, Rhino Page, Steve Jarris, Ryan Ciminelli, and Michael Haugen Jr. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson, back with you for week 4 of the PBA's World Series of Bowling. Intriguing storyline today as we have two young guns, Rhino Page, Ryan Ciminelli, not only going old school on us, but also dropping a little Survivor and creating an alliance.
Yeah, a huge alliance for the Southpaws. Rhino Page and Ryan Ciminelli have formed a game plan to eliminate the two right-handers in Steve Jarris and Michael Haugen Jr. At any cost, they're trying to get those right-handers out of there and to face each other in the title match, and they're going to do it old school. Urethane equipment. That's right, urethane equipment. That's what I won with back in the 80s.
Well, we're going way back, aren't we? Here is Rhino Page, the former Rookie of the Year, on the alliance he and Ciminelli have formed.
Well, me and Ciminelli are good friends, and in fact, we've discussed a little bit of a game plan on how we're going to attack the lanes, both throwing urethane, you know, we're trying to get there. I mean, the bottom line is we know that Jarris and Haugen are going to team up together. They're both with AMF. They work together. You know they're going to come up with some type of strategy to knock us out of the tournament. And so we talked and we tried to get a plan together to where, hey, no, we're not going down that easy.
The Southpaws are going to take a page out of the right-handers book, Rob, in that they are coming up with a plan to use urethane equipment as opposed to reactive resin. The difference being that the oil absorption isn't near as fast with urethane equipment than it is with reactive resin. Also, the two Southpaws plan on not practicing near as much as they normally would and hoping that their side of the lane holds up longer.
PBA Viper Championship semifinal. He owns 2 titles. The 7-8 Rookie of the Year, a member of Team USA since 2004. From Topeka, Kansas, he is Rhino Page.
And who can forget the season this guy had just a couple of seasons ago in 07-08, the Rookie of the Year, the shows that he made, the wins, and to top it off this past season, a 300 game in Japan for $100 grand.
Opponent owns 7 titles and 1 major at the 05 Tournament of Champions. From Yorkville, Illinois, here's Steve Jarris.
The Quiet Assassin. Can you believe that this guy has made $1.6 million in his career? That's right. How about 7 titles and a major to go with it?
So here's how our 4 semifinalists got here. Jarris won it in 7 games over Stevie Weber. Rhino Page taking care of Jason Belmonte. Michael Haugen Jr. over Jack Jurek. And Ryan Ciminelli 4-1 over Thomas Smallwood. And we begin with Rhino Page, the lefty, going with the clean-shaven look up top. We'll tell you why he has taken care of the hair on the head in a moment. Great start for Rhino.
And playing the twig, the extreme outside line to start, and again using a urethane bowling ball. That's old school, my brother.
Speaking of old school, Steve Jarris, he throws a little old school at you too.
He does. Listen to the fingers pop right at the point of release. That is truly old school.
Leaves the 4-7, and you hear that pop. You and I are actually talking today. I remember the first bowling event I ever did with you in Milwaukee, and I kept hearing the pop, and I thought for the whole show you were just goofing on me and making that pop sound, and you're like, Rob, yeah, that's what happens when the fingers pop out of the ball. I'm like, all right, lesson number 1. Thank you, Randy. Steve Jarris in the quarterfinals. Jarris took down Stevie Weber in 7 games. In fact, Jarris trailed in that deciding Game 7 until a match-defining 5-bagger gave him the win. Jarris with a spare here in the first.
You know, Robin, when you talk about old school, when it pertains to the release of Steve Jarris, he's more of a lifter. And right at the bottom of the swing, he'll start to lift on that bowling ball. The modern game today, the players don't lift at all. In fact, if anything, they cup the wrist right before release, and then they open that hand. They kind of give it the Spider-Man shooting the web.
So a pair of spares to open up this semifinal of the Viper Championship. Jarris hasn't won since April 9th of 05. Rhino Page in the quarterfinals. Took down the two-handed sensation, Jason Belmonte. Belmonte actually was up in that quarterfinal 1-0, and then Rhino Page reeled off 4 consecutive wins to move on to the semifinals here today. Strike in the first, looking for a double. And finding the double.
You know, it's amazing when you talk about equipment. You look at the bowling ball that Rhino Page is using. Again, it's a urethane ball, but it's got surface on it, sanded. Look at the bowling ball that Steve Jarris is using, very shiny. 37-foot oil pattern. There's a lot of friction out there, but this is how far the equipment game has come over the years.
Be right. Really? Yeah, that's nice.
6-8 split he leaves.
Yeah, that's just a bad break, too. Rhino Page, not only is he getting it at the bottom of the swing for all it's worth, he's adding some loft to it as well. And that's something you don't see very often from Rhino. He likes to get the ball down on the lane very, very quickly. But again, it's just all part of being among the greatest players in the world out here. You have to be versatile. You have to show your versatility on a weekly basis.
Woof. That one got away from him, and he whiffs in an open frame in the third after opening up with a pair of strikes. Time now for our Lumber Liquidators Know the Wood, and it is the Viper oil pattern, Randy.
37 feet in length. You see that the southpaws are going to play the extreme outside part of the lane. The right-handers, on the other hand, they're going to try to play in between second and third arrow. Looks to be a little bit of a crown there, but the middle part of the lane, there's still a whole lot of friction there. Don't look for a lot of hold in the middle part of the lane on this oil pattern. And there's a ball change, third frame for Steve Jarris.
Well, Jarris has seen the highs and the lows of bowling on TV. In '99, he had a 300 game, but in '92, a 129.
You know, right now, there isn't one player out here that can say they've got the highest and the lowest game on TV. You know, I've got both ends of the spectrum, and you'd be surprised how many people remember me for that. So it's actually kind of cool. You know, it was pretty embarrassing at the time. It was a low point. But at the same time, you know, it happens. You know, that same year, we had 133. And, you know, Bob Vespi, he didn't think anybody was going to beat that, and I did.
51 career 300 games for Jarris.
So close.
Strike in the third and leaves the 2-4-5
no different.
in the fourth.
He's got 40 regional titles as well. Let's not forget that. You can see where he's playing his launch speed at right around 19.5 miles an hour to start. This one's a little bit slower, and he did make an adjustment on that left lane. But all he's done is go high, light, and has not yet found the pocket on that lane.
As Rhino Page watches. When we return, more on Rhino Page and the Mr. Clean Look. Page, up next. The PBA Viper Championship is brought to you by Lumber Liquidators, hardwood flooring for less. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 50% on car insurance. By Bear Aspirin, expect wonders. And by the United States Bowling Congress, the all-new Bowl.com, your online source for all things bowling. Log on to Bowl.com today.